The wind howled outside the little rental house my sister Emma and I had booked for a weekend in the mountains. It was supposed to be a quiet retreat, a chance to sip hot cocoa and watch the snow pile up beyond the frosted windows. The place was a good hour's drive from the nearest town, perched on a ridge with nothing but pine trees stretching out in every direction. We'd arrived just as the light faded, the sky turning a bruised purple, and the snow had already started falling in thick, heavy flakes. The house was simple, a living room with a sagging couch, a kitchen barely big enough for the two of us to stand in, and a wood stove that crackled faintly as we got it going. After settling in, we decided to take a quick walk around the property, just to feel the crunch of fresh snow under our boots. The air was biting, and the silence out there was overwhelming, broken only by the occasional snap of a branch under the weight of the snow. That's when Emma stopped, her breath clouding in front of her, and pointed at something in the distance, a shape moving between the trees. It was too far to make out clearly, just a dark smear against the white, but it moved with purpose. Weaving closer, my stomach tightened as I suggested we head back inside, but Emma, always the curious one, wanted to wait and see what it was. The shape grew clearer, a person, bundled in a coat, trudging through the snow. They stopped about 50 yards away, just standing there, staring in our direction. I could feel their gaze even through the dimness, and it sent a shiver down my spine that had nothing to do with the cold. Emma called out, her voice sharp against the stillness, but they didn't answer, just turned and vanished back into the trees. We hurried inside, locking the door behind us, and spent the next hour convincing ourselves it was probably just a lost hiker. But then, as we sat by the stove, something scratched at the window, a slow, deliberate scrape, like fingernails dragging. Across the glass, Emma grabbed my arm, her eyes wide, and when we peeked out, there was nothing but snow and darkness. The scratching came again, this time from the back door, and my heart was hammering as I grabbed the phone to call for help. The ranger station picked up after a few agonizing rings, and they promised to send someone out. When the ranger arrived, he searched the perimeter, flashlight cutting through the night, but found no tracks, no signs of anyone. He said the wind could have carried sounds from miles away, playing tricks on us, but I saw the unease in his eyes. We left the next morning, the mountains no longer feeling like a refuge, and I still wonder who, or what, was out there, watching us through the snow. The snow had been falling all day by the time I got to my uncle's old farmhouse, a sprawling place he'd left me after he passed last spring. I'd come up to rural Vermont to sort through his things, figuring a weekend alone would be enough. To box up the essentials, the house sat at the end of a long dirt road, surrounded by fields now buried under a thick white blanket, and the quiet was so deep it felt like the world had gone to sleep. Inside, the air smelled of dust and old wood, and the furniture was still draped with sheets from when he'd shut the place up years ago. I'd spent the afternoon poking through the attic, finding faded photos and stacks of letters tied with string, when I noticed how dark it had gotten outside. The snow was heavier now, piling against the windows, and I figured I'd call it a night soon. As I came downstairs, a sound stopped me cold, a low thump, like something heavy shifting. In the barn out back, I told myself it was just the storm, maybe ice sliding off the roof, but it came again, louder, more insistent. Grabbing a flashlight, I pulled on my coat and stepped outside, the wind biting at my face as I trudged toward the barn. The The big double doors were shut tight, but the padlock hung loose, its chain dangling in the snow. I pushed the door open, the hinges groaning, and swept the light across the space. Hay bales, rusted tools, an old tractor covered in cobwebs. Nothing seemed out of place, but the air felt wrong, thick and charged, like something was holding its breath. Then I saw it. A trapdoor in the floor, half hidden under a pile of burlap sacks, its edges worn and splintered. My uncle had never mentioned a cellar under the barn, and curiosity pulled me closer. I lifted the trapdoor, revealing a narrow set of stairs descending into darkness, and a faint, sour smell wafted up, like damp earth and something rotten. I called down, my voice echoing off the stone walls, but no answer came. Against my better judgment, I started down, the steps creaking under my weight, and at the bottom, my flashlight caught on something, a row of jars lining a shelf, filled with cloudy liquid and shapes I couldn't quite make out. Behind them, scratched into the wall, were words, "Keep it buried." My chest tightened as I backed away, the beam of light trembling in my hand, and I scrambled back up, slamming the trapdoor shut. I didn't sleep that night, the thumping from the barn echoing in my head, and when I left the next day, I swore I'd never go back. Whatever my uncle had hidden down there, it could stay lost under the snow. The cabin my coworker Jake had lent me for the weekend was tucked away in the hills of Montana, a perfect spot to unplug and let the winter wrap around me like a cocoon. He'd said it was his family's old hunting retreat, a little rough around the edges, but solid, with a view of the valley that made the drive worth it. I got there late, the headlights of my car bouncing off snowdrifts as I pulled up, and the place looked like a postcard: log walls, a steep roof, icicles glinting along the eaves. Inside, it was chilly but cozy, with a fireplace I got going right away and a stack of blankets on the couch. I'd brought a book and some coffee, planning to do nothing but read and stare out at the snow-covered pines. Night fell fast, the darkness pressing against the windows, and I was halfway through a chapter when I heard it. A faint tapping, like something brushing against the side of the cabin. I set the book down, listening hard, and it came again, sharper now, from the direction of the porch. I figured it was just a branch caught in the wind, so I grabbed a flashlight and stepped outside to check. The cold hit me like a slap, and the porch was empty, the snow around it smooth and undisturbed. But as I turned to go back in, my light caught something, a glint in the trees, low to the ground, like eyes reflecting back at me. I froze, my breath hitching, and called out, asking if anyone was there. The glint vanished, and for a moment, all I heard was the wind. Then came a sound I'll never forget, a low, guttural growl, rolling through the trees, too deep to be a coyote or a dog. My legs felt weak as I backed toward the door, the growl growing louder, closer, until I could almost feel it vibrating in my chest. I stumbled inside, locking the door and shoving a chair against it, my hands shaking so bad I could barely hold the flashlight. The growling stopped, replaced by silence so thick it pressed against my ears, and I spent the rest of the night by the fire, jumping at every creak of the cabin. When morning came, I checked outside again, expecting tracks or some sign of whatever it was. Nothing, just pristine snow stretching out endlessly. I packed up and left before noon, the valley no longer beautiful but suffocating, and I haven't asked Jake about that cabin since. Whatever was out there, it wasn't hunting deer.